and his nana. I don't know what's going on with white sauce. What's next? Yeah. All right. So now we'll start talking about his campaign momentum. So we get into the end now, okay? Okay. He won the Democratic Party in June 2025, defeating Andrew Cuomo and others. He's leading the polls in fundraising with over $1 million raised from grassroots donors. Let's talk about these donors. Because we already talked about his mama's donors, who his mama was getting money from, right? Now let's talk about who his campaign is getting money from, right? So they're saying that he fundraised with over $1 million from grassroots donors. Hold on, let's see. Let's break down. Okay, where's the article? See, which one did I want to do first? I think I want to do this one first, and then we're going to get into the big money. Let's talk about the small money. Let's talk about the small money first, and then we'll get into we'll end it with a bang, with the big money. Okay, big tech workers, top donations. Let's see if I can find the article now. There it is. Okay. See, MSNBC is invading my space again. Oh, come on. Why won't it go away though? Okay. So this is from the New York Post. Big tech workers, including from Google and Meta, were among the biggest group of donors to Mamdani's mayoral campaign, creating a fresh headache for companies in the Big Apple that could feel the brunt of the self-proclaimed Democrat socialist policies. The Post has learned. The 33-year-old upstart has spooked New York business and tech leaders, many of whom fear that his vow to raise taxes on the wealthy and pass calls to defund police will spark a mass exodus similar to what San Francisco experienced under progressive leaders in recent years. However, their underlings have thrown their financial support behind the frontrunner for City Hall. Rank and file Google employees donated nearly $40,000 to Mamdani's campaign through July 11th, more than any other company or institution, according to New York City's campaign finance data reviewed by the Post. Meta workers chipped in more than 10,500, ranking the 7th on the list, followed by Amazon employees who donated nearly 9,000. Campaign funds also flowed from employees at New York City mainstays like tech and media firm Bloomberg. Bloomberg was 8,000, Spotify was 7,000, Block was 6,000, Squarespace was 3,000, and Mongo was 3,900. The data showed. So outside the sector, Mamdani received significant support from workers at New York-based colleges and city agencies. The Columbia University system ranked overall with nearly $33,000 in donations, followed by the New York City Department of Education, $26,000 in donations, and the New York University system, $24,000, and the CUNY system, $18,000, the data showed. The New York City campaign finance regulation requires donors to disclose their employer if their contributions exceed $100. The stats do not include donors who listed alternate designations such as being unemployed, self-employed, or retired. Overall, Mamdani raised $800,000 from roughly 10,500 donors in June 25th throughout July 11th, with more than $350,000 of that cash coming outside of New York. Records show. Representatives for Google and Meta declined to comment. Amazon and the Mamdani campaign did not return requests for comment. John Borthwick, a famed tech investor of CEO of New York's based BetterWorks, said the donations from tech workers doesn't surprise me at all because young people in particular want change. I got another reason. Mamdani, who handily beat Governor Cuomo in the Democratic primary, has vowed to lower the cost of living through policies. I already busted all that up. Critics say his plans could cause chaos in the housing market. I agree. Among other unwanted side effects, I agree, included businesses running for the exits. Tech giants are particularly focused on the quality of life impacts of Mamdani's policies on issues like public safety, housing, education, because those are the key to making the city attractive destination. Companies left San Francisco in droves due to rampant crime and homelessness, which some critics attributed to woke policies adopted by the city leadership. Okay. Insiders say companies are struggling to balance the need to voice real concerns about the impact a Mamdani administration would have on their businesses against the risk of alienating progressive workers who appear to be broadly supportive of him. Okay, and Mamdani's approach to artificial intelligence is a key concern for Borthwick, who noted that the upstart has yet to articulate a vision on how New York City should leverage a technology that carries major potential, but also threatens to cause significant upheaval in the white-collar workforce. Okay, remember that. This technology is going to transform the city, and he isn't thinking or ready for it, says Bortnick, who previously told the Post that Mamdani's mayorship will be disastrous for the city. Mamdani has vowed to regulate the industry, warning that AI could harm workers, replicate biases, and weaken vital services if done irresponsibly. And I'm going to put in, I'm going to insert this part right here. Who programmed the biases? See, what they're forgetting is, who are these workers? Isn't that the H-1B1 sector? Who are these workers? Of course they're behind him. These are his people. These are his cousins working in the tech sector. Of course, they want someone like Mamdani because they don't want their visas revoked. They don't care. And the thing is, they're not even looking long term, because if the company has to leave New York, then that's going to be less jobs. And if you guys don't get a handle on that, well, AI is coming. So a lot of y'all about to lose them jobs anyway. Does he have a plan for that? So you want to sit here and say all this hot shit. AI could harm workers, replicate biases, and weaken vital services if done irresponsibly. Who programmed the biases? I'm going to keep going. We ultimately create checks to ensure that technological tools are being deployed responsibly to deliver effective services, Mamdani told Crane, New York. As mayor, I would work with unions and the city council to pass legislation that would appropriately regulate AI. He doesn't have big picture view. I wouldn't trust him to negotiate on my behalf. He doesn't have a big picture view. And even though, like I said, you know, he has a view on whatchamacallit, I would not trust him to be able to negotiate anything with AI to be able to keep jobs. So y'all about to shoot yourself in the foot. Well, he ain't gonna win anyway. But y'all trying to shoot yourself in the foot. But you know, whatever. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about that. You got any thoughts, Divine?
No, I think that was a great point that you made about the the workers that's behind him. Like like you said, these are his people. It's similar to what was being done and what was being talked about being done in 2024, right? Like that's the same thing that Kamala was planning on doing. Like at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, at the last minute, they were trying to present themselves as cracking down on the border and creating that bipartisan border bill that's supposed to, limit illegal immigration. At the same time, she was talking about increasing those H-1B1 visas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this is the con game that most of these um, immigrant politicians are playing on us. But more importantly, those that are South Asian, specifically East Indian, they are definitely looking to continue that stream of them coming in, and while at the same time um, bringing them in and implementing their caste system. Because even when you
Mm-hmm.
go beneath the numbers of that, you see that a lot of the non-Brahmin Indians complain that in those H-1B1 hirings, they still run the caste system and
Mm-hmm.
treat those non-Brahmins as the quote unquote untouchables that they would be in their own country. So yeah,
Yep.
just layers upon layers of of discrimination, if you will, in the way in which they operate their systems once they get here.
Mm-hmm. So we wrapping it up. Now we're gonna get into more of the. Let's talk about that. We talked about the small money. Let's talk about the big money, so we can wrap it up because it's getting late. It been late.
It's been late.
It been late. But I just want to get it over with. Then it's done. Um. Let's see. Uh. 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 I had a video, but I can't find it. So. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just get into the big money donations. Okay. Yeah, let's start there. So let's see right here. So billionaire hedge fund heir Elizabeth Simmons donates $250,000 to pro Mamdani super PAC. So I thought he didn't like billionaires,
Hmm.
and billionaires should be abolished. It sounds like he a lot like his mama. He don't like stuff until they give him money, and then when they give him money, then it's okay. So, philanthropist Elizabeth Simmons, daughter of late billionaire hedge fund investor Jamie Simmons, donated $250,000 to Mamdani Super PAC New Yorkers for lower costs. The contribution is the largest made to the group promoting the Democratic Socialist nominee's mayoral campaign, which has already raised $2 million from nearly 300 separate donations. $2 million from 300 separate donations. Simmons is chairwoman of the board of directors of Heising Simmons Foundation, which she co-founded with her husband, Mark Heising. James Simmons founded Renaissance Technologies, and he and wife Marilyn donated $1 billion from his former employer, Stony Brook University, where he was a math professor. Marilyn is an alumni to the Long Island School, which is part of the State University of New York. James Simmons died last year. His net worth was estimated at $31 billion. The super PAC operates independently of Mamdani's campaign. Mamdani has caused a stir when he said there shouldn't be billionaires during an interview after he won the Democratic primary. I don't think we should have billionaires because, frankly, it's too much money. It's too much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need is more equality across our city and across our state and across our country. Billionaire Democratic Illinois Governor Pritzker fired back at the time, saying, "Look how much money you have. Look how much money you have doesn't determine what your values are." Fix the city super PAC. Fix the city. A super PAC backing Andrew Cuomo's campaign for mayor raised a staggering $26 billion. Blah 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 blah. I don't need to get into that. We're not talking about Cuomo right now. We're talking about him. So you see that he's getting big money from billionaires when he sits there and talks about how he doesn't like billionaires. But let's see what other kind of help. We see that he's already getting help, and they said from, they said he's getting help from from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Why I never can say her name either. It's just too many, I don't know, syllables. I don't know. I can never say her name. But let me let Brother Divine, you have anything you want to chime in before I go to the next article? Okay. All right. So the next articles. All right. So let's see who else is trying to get in there. Oh, looky. Why is it not telling me where this is from? Oh, this is from the Post. This is from the New York Post. Okay. Bill de Blasio and his former aides are advising Mamdani and clamoring to get back into City Hall. We're not going to read this whole article. We're just going to read what I underline. My understanding is that Mamdani people are letting anyone chime in. Hold on. Wait. Former Big Apple mayor and groundhog killer. God dang. Former Big Apple mayor. I didn't catch that. I don't remember that being in there, but that is funny. Former Big Apple mayor and groundhog killer Bill de Blasio and his aides are clamoring to become relevant again by sucking up the Socialist and Democratic nominee Mamdani in the hopes of scoring a position in his potential administration, the Post has learned. Okay. I just wanted to read that part because it was funny. Still, Gaspard was the key architect Gaspard, we're just going to read. Still, Gaspard was the key architect in arranging Mamdani's appearance at the National Action Network with Reverend Al Sharpton after his stunning win with former Governor Cuomo. Added a noted foe of de Blasio, whom the former mayor vowed to do everything in his power to stop. Cuomo is his foe. Gaspard, who also served as a political director of the influential SEIU 1199 Union. Okay, everybody in New York know what that is. Okay? He was also a U.S. ambassador to South Africa and Obama's White House Director of Political Affairs. I'm trying to see if there's a picture in this article. There's definitely one in the next. Hold on. There's a picture. Let me put this picture up on the screen so you can see who I'm talking about. There he is. Okay. So this man, let's read who he is. Gaspard, who also served as a political director of the influential 1199 Union. He also was a U.S. ambassador to South Africa as Obama's White House Director of Political Affairs, has deep ties with Big Apple's Black communities, labor unions, and the larger Democratic Party. Mamdani himself suggested that he is wooing Gaspard. During the final mayoral primary debate, he mentioned Gaspard by name as the type of experienced hand he wanted to bring in his administration. Now, this is very important. Oh, real quick. It said something in the article. It said that Bill de Blasio has a girlfriend. This is just tea. It said that his girlfriend is Nomiki Coast. I'm like, oh, so that's why you made a big deal of you and your wife separating, because they never divorced. They separated, and so this article, I just thought that was funny that this article mentioned that he has a girlfriend. Anyway, now, who is this guy? Right? Who is this guy? Let's see. Let's get into who this guy is. Okay, where is the article now? I feel like it has a different label than the actual article. I did this one. Okay. Oh no, I need this article. Here it is. There's so many. No, this is not the one. I mean, that is an interesting article, but this is not the one. This is the one. Here we go. Some Democrats panicked over Mamdani, and Obama called him. So let's see who's the puppeteer. In the days after it became clear that Mamdani had won the New York City's June mayoral primaries, much of the Democratic establishment began to panic. Former President Barack Obama, the last Democrat to captivate the party's base, got on the phone. In a lengthy call in June, Mr. Obama congratulated Mr. Mamdani and offered him advice about governing and discussed the importance of giving people hope in a dark time, according to people with knowledge of the conversation. Others in Mr. Obama's orbit have also shown keen interest in Mr. Mamdani and his campaign. John Farvo, who served as Mr. Obama's speech writer, and Dan Pfeiffer, a former senior advisor, have been in communication with the Democratic strategist Maurice Katz, among Mr. Mamdani's closest aides. David Axelrod, who served as Mr. Obama's chief campaign strategist and senior advisor, was also curious. Last month, he stopped by Mr. Mamdani's campaign quarters, then in the Flatiron district, in the Flatiron neighborhood of Manhattan, to meet the candidate and his staff and to see things for himself. What I found when I went over to that office was a familiar spirit that I hadn't seen in a while, of just determined, upbeat idealism. Yeah, idealism, because he ain't got no substance. Mr. Axelrod told me, you may not agree with every answer he's given or every idea he has, but he's certainly asking the right questions. When and where is he asking those questions? Because I ain't seen not near one. He said, which is how do we make the country work for the working people? He did ask that question. I will say that. He did ask that question, but he ain't got none of the answers. He said Mr. Mamdani's ability to inspire young Americans who feel economic uncertainty acutely was critical and something the party at large needed to reckon with. And I'm gonna start talking shit in the middle of this argument. You see right there? He said Mr. Mamdani's ability to inspire. I don't need no inspiration. I need you to get off my back. You already talking about you on my back. You want to get a check for reparations. I need you to get off my back and let me get what's owed to me. What is my birthright? And then aside from that, as a New Yorker, I need you to do what's best for New York, not for people who are not even citizens here. I am tired. Everybody who seems to be in politics here in this city and in this state only care about themselves and other people. You do not care about the state. How can you care about the state when you only care about people who are not citizens of the country? It is crazy to me because everybody who's with this knows damn well none of this would be tolerated in your countries. Not a lick of this would be tolerated. You would not allow people. Everybody right now is kicking people out of their country who are not supposed to be there. How come this is the only one where people are being demonized for it? If you didn't come here legally, you didn't follow our laws, you are an illegal. And I don't even care if you're my friend. That is what it is. I can love you and still tell you the truth. That as my friend is, and as if you are my friend and you're illegal, I'm going to tell you, get your shit together. Because and I'm talking about, the on code Caribbeans that I do know, you know what I'm saying? If I knew someone who was illegal, I would tell them, get your stuff together. In fact, that is what I told them before Trump came into won the presidency. I told them that he would win. I told them, don't think that because you live in New York, you live in this bubble, that this is what the country is feeling. I told them that Trump is coming. I was like, and don't think that we as a country or we as Black people are going to stop the mass deportations to save one or two people that we like. We're going to let the thousands of people flood over. I'm sorry, it can't work like that. It can't work like that. So I warned them early, get your things together. Get your stuff in order. I warned people who were sitting here, and this is me. And all of this is documented because you got the videos. They're up there. I didn't take them down. There's videos where I talked about how when they first started giving driver's license to illegals, I told y'all don't sign up for those driver's license. I said, you better keep driving them dollar cabs with no license like you've been doing and running when the cops come. Because if you put your name on the list, as soon as the Democrats aren't in power anymore, the Republicans going to have that list. And look where we at today. So I gave my warnings. My conscience is clear. I gave my warnings. No one wanted to hear me. Y'all didn't, whatever it is. It's too late now. I told y'all then that we're not going to stop these deportations for one or two people that we like or that we care about when there's so many others that are anti-Black, that are committing crimes against us and telling us all kind of craziness. I'm not going to sit there and let thousands and thousands, millions of people who want to see me dead for one or two who are my friends. I'm sorry. And you would do the same thing in your country. In fact, you're doing it right now with the Haitians. Every single Caribbean nation is expelling Haitians. Every single one. All y'all. And nobody has anything to say about it. So you're sitting there and you want to give the citizens hope while you give illegals money, cars, e-bikes. That's setting the city on fire. E-bikes, debit cards, clothes, coats, laundry, 5-star hotels, apartments, furniture for the apartments. Did I forget anything? Free college education. You want to give us hope while you give them money. Obama, and we're gonna get. We're gonna get into that. Let me just finish this because I didn't went way off on a tangent. The interest from the closely guarded world of Mr. Obama and those around him is the clearest sign yet that Mr. Mamdani is likely to be embraced by the Democratic mainstream. And I'm trying to kill that before it even happens. Whether the party leaders or donors like it or not, it comes at a time of dueling visions among voters, Democratic politicians and donors over the future of the party. Some key figures within the Democratic establishment have reacted, at least publicly, to Mr. Mamdani with a sense of suspicion or alarm. Hakeem Jeffries, the House leader, has yet to, and that was at the time of this article because I believe he's endorsed him now. Am I right on that, Divine? No, he didn't endorse him. He didn't. Okay, so he didn't endorse him yet. Okay, so maybe I'm confusing him with Michael Eric Dyson. Because I thought I had a video, but like I said, that must have been the Michael Eric Dyson video I'm talking about. But anyway, so he is not. He has yet to endorse the Democratic nominee, even though Brooklyn, which he represents, voted for Mamdani in over Governor Cuomo by nearly a 20% margin. I'm trying to kill that. Okay, let me see. I want to go down to where it's important. So anyway, they basically are going to try to use all of Obama's people to get him elected. And again, like me and my mom always say, the Democrats are overplaying their hand. They have not read the room. They do not understand what's really happening. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Divine, you have anything you want to add while I look for the next article?
I thought there was. I'm trying to think of what you said last.
I said a lot.
I know. Shit, there was something, but I will say, yeah. I just saw a clip of them still badgering Hakeem Jeffries to attempt to endorse him, but he still hadn't come out and said anything in favor of him in the way of an endorsement. So yeah, I think that still has not happened. That was very recent. I think that was like a couple of days ago. But shit, you said something. It's out of my mind now because it was the article right before this one, I think. Because this one's about Obama. What was the one before this about?
The money. Oh, Bill de Blasio.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Bill de Blasio. Yeah. So, and his foes and the money too. So it was about the money. It wasn't about Bill de Blasio. It was about the money.
And the billionaires.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, yeah. It's a lot of empty rhetoric. It's a lot of how can I even put this? It's a lot of talking points when it comes to this wing of Democrat socialism, right? It's a whole bunch of like an empty rhetoric that they have. It's like a playbook they have to read from the script. There's a script that needs to be read from, and then just going back to what AOC and Jamal Bowman did once they got in there, right? They read from the script until they got in, and then when it was time to band together to put real pressure on the Democrat establishment in the same way in which Tammy Duckworth put pressure on them to get her people some stuff when she told Biden, "Look, I ain't voting for no. I ain't helping you confirm nobody if you don't do this for us." And in the same way that Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema held the Democrats hostage for what they wanted for their constituents. Jamal Bowman and AOC never did nothing close to that, and Rashid
That's
Tlaib and
right.
all of them.
That's
And well,
right.
maybe Rashid Tlaib I think stood on something that was that was unpopular, but it was Bowman, AOC, Tlaib, Ayanna Presley, and I think there's one more. Oh yeah, the one that's out now too. God from St. Louis. Um, Corey Bush. All of them together were supposed to be the squad and stand on business. And when it was time, they did not. They put that threw that script away, and now AOC is trying to dust it back off and get out there with Bernie. And Bernie's another one that reads from the script, and then when it's time to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire, it falls short of anything substantive and transformative. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of bullshit that they get a chance to spew, hit the talking points, hit the checkpoints, hit the check marks, and then pivot into what they really gonna do when it's time. So I think he's just another one in the same line. And like you say, he's following behind his mama. His mama took all that money from Qatar, didn't think nothing of it. He's in that same boat. Like, when it's time to take the money, you're gonna take the money. Because I mean that's just what you did at every stop that you've been at. You muted.
Thank you. So
Mhm.
I wanted to get into the Democrats overplaying their hand, right? They're running now to Obama because Obama was the last time that they had a win, right? But they don't understand it's a different climate out here. Obama don't have no friends. The Democrats don't have no friends. You see that headline? This was after the election. You see that date? This was right after the election. I had to dig for this article because they really was trying to hide it. 95,000 votes. And then for the people that sat home, the Democrats lost 500,000 asses sat home and said no. On top of 95,000 who went to go vote red. It's a different climate out here. You running and you think you could get up underneath Obama, and Obama ain't got no friends out here. You've been in your 32nd, 36th district. What is it? 36th district too long. 36. You've been in your 36th district too long. In your little enclave. And he did an interview, and I did have that video. I don't know if I still got it. Let me see. But I had a video where he was going up to people and asking them why they voted for, like, who they voted for and all that. Oh my gosh. Wow. I had really a lot of stuff in here that I did not play. No, I don't think I think I forgot that one. Anyway, so where was I? He doesn't have he thinks that he's gonna be able to hop on Obama's coattails to be able to use the same people Obama used, and that is going to get him to the White House. Well, that probably is where he's trying to ultimately go, is to the White House. But right now, he's just trying to get the Gracie Mansion. You know what I'm saying? So he think that that all of these things are gonna get him to Gracie Mansion, so he could be on his hot stepping way to the White House. Okay, let me bring the article back. Actually, I don't think I really need to go into too much more. I think I proved my point. I will add the link to the article though, so if you want to break it down by, you know what I'm saying, you can break it down, and then I'm just gonna I do want to play this one right here because this one was pretty good. Now, just like I'm going to say that he's very Obama-esque because Obama, he, played like he was trying to, that he was actually looking out for regular people and, at the middle class. And in actuality, we all know that Obama is the richest person to come out of the White House due to the money he had prior to the White House and the money he's made after he's come out of the White House. So I just want to show this little video just to show that, maybe him and Obama have, quite a bit in common. Just kind of waiting on this right here. Of course, it's not being my friend. Okay, so what I will do is I will set everything else up while I'm waiting on that. Okay, great. Of course, as soon as I start setting stuff up, it's ready. Ah! I try to be so ready. And I'm not. Okay, here we go.
Check this out. Hates capitalism but bought a new beachfront mansion. Nice. If you think this guy is gonna save New York, yeah, you're wrong. The only people this guy will save is the Mohammeds and Abus. Remember that.
Okay. So we're going to get into that one later. So now, we see he's basically taking money, that he's made. However, I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying nothing about that. I'm just saying he's sitting there talking about how, he's not about billionaires, but you sit there buying, beachfront property and making sure you want to make sure that everybody has housing. How come you didn't, take that money and help somebody get some housing? There shouldn't be billionaires and millionaires and all of these things. But when it comes to your money and what you're doing, you making sure you and your wife is set. You making sure you guys have a nice place to live. Okay. And speaking of wife, now we're getting into the last little bit here. Okay. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we get into the wife. He then talks about his campaign, right? And being the largest grassroots movement in New York City history, or that's what they say about him, right? That he had the largest grassroots campaign in New York City. And I just asked ChatGPT. I said, okay, well, I'm curious to know. Who were his volunteers? Because remember they talked about how many volunteers he had, right? His volunteers were majority young and multicultural, strong Asian American engagement, white progressive backbone. He had neighborhoods like Astoria, Bed-Stuy. We already talked about Bed-Stuy and how it's changed. Jackson Heights. These areas are racially diverse, I bet, but I bet it's season only a certain type of people came out. It wasn't black. It says limited black volunteer representation. Despite outreach in Harlem and other historically black neighborhoods, Mamdani struggled to gain traction among black voters in areas like Brownsville, East Flatbush, where Cuomo performed better. So now back to what I was saying about the because I really want to dig into that, but I wanted to talk about that real first so we know like what kind of people he got to volunteer. So they're sitting there talking about, oh, he got all this grassroots volunteer, and it's mostly white and Asian. But when they give you that word, it makes you feel like, it's a lot of us out there. You know what I mean? It's a lot of us really campaigning for him. Now, They go on to say that he had the largest grassroots movement in New York history, with over 50,000 volunteers knocking on 1.6 million doors. I said, hold on. I want to know, where is the first one? I wanted to know when it says, so I wanted to know, was that true? Was that actually the biggest grassroots campaign in New York City history? Because I know that we have had a lot of grassroots campaigns here in New York City, and I just found it hard to believe that his would be the biggest. And as I thought, I was correct. The Harlem Renaissance the Harlem Renaissance was a grassroots movement in New York. And it estimated about 300,000 Black residents migrated to Harlem during this period. Artists, writers, musicians, activists formed cultural and political movement that reshaped the American identity. Impact of modern Black consciousness with figures like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and W.E.B. Du Bois. Okay, then let's talk about number 2, the civil rights and Black power organizing in Harlem from 1954 to 1974. Tens of thousands of engaged in protests, walkouts, and organizing key events. One was the 1964 Harlem riot, which was sparked by the police killing of 15-year-old James Powell. So you see, this has been happening for quite some time. Involved thousands of protesters over 6 days. The Black Panther Party, the New York City chapter, ran free breakfast programs and health clinics, mobilizing hundreds of volunteers weekly. Okay, organizations, they need to put your organizations, I don't even want to name, but anyhow, we already see that what they're talking about is a lie. Okay, let's see another one. Ella Baker and the Parents in Action Against Educational Discrimination. Hundreds of Black and Puerto Rican parents in Harlem, and this is ChatGPT, in Harlem, they had school boycotts, picket lines, and direct action against segregation. They talked about this a little bit in The Godfather. Remember that, Divine? I don't know if you remember that episode in The Godfather, where remember when Bumpy's daughter and Bumpy's wife went to the school?
Yes.
Okay. So they talked about this a little bit in that movie, but I'm assuming that this is what they were referencing.
Okay.
Between 300 and 500 Black and Puerto Rican parents were actively involved in PAAED organizing efforts in Harlem during the late 1950s and early 1960s. School boycotts. They had school boycotts. This was over 460,000 students stayed home for the boycott that they had. Estimated tens of thousands of families participated, many mobilized by the parents group and ally groups. The meeting attendance, they had regular meetings that drew over 100 to 200 attendees weekly. So when they sit there and tell you, let's talk about it. So they had the parents volunteer movement. I got exact numbers. They had 666,000 volunteers, and they had over 1.5 million door knocks, and they had let's say, it doesn't give me a total amount of donations, but you see that when they use these statements and these phrases, that they're fudging the numbers. He is not the largest grassroots campaign in New York City's history. It's just not true. We've again. And here's the thing: as someone who studied Africana studies, as someone who father is an African, a professor of African studies, why would you come here and then try to erase what we have done? Why would you do that? Because you are a buffer class. And that's what you did in Uganda. And now you're trying to come and bring it over here. We're not going to let that happen here either. So now, do you have anything you want to add?
No, but I do want to ask, how much more you got? Sis?
This we wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up.
Okay.
Wrapping it up. How much more can I go? I'm wrapping it up. So the last thing we're going to touch on is the wife. Okay, so y'all was asking about my Juneteenth shirt that I made. Okay, I got shirts for y'all. I got women's t-shirts and men's t-shirts. I worked hard. I found a really good supplier with really good quality t-shirts. So go to evenmelanin.com and pick you up a Juneteenth t-shirt today. They come in red and royal blue. Newly added navy blue. Keep watch because more t-shirts will be coming over time because I got a lot of ideas. You know what I mean? Pick up your t-shirt today by going to evenmelanin.com. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Even after you watch this video, come back and comment again. I hear people say that all the time, that it helps you in the algorithm. So I need help in the algorithm too, so help me out. I so appreciate you guys. I'm always shocked by how many of you actually care about what I have to say. So I definitely appreciate you. So what I want to do next, right? I always see these really obscure documentaries, and I want to have watch parties where we can watch these documentaries together. Documentaries that TikTok is not going to allow, YouTube is not going to allow us to watch them together. So join my Patreon. That's the only reason why I'm doing a Patreon. Join my Patreon so that we could watch these documentaries freely. We could comment, kiki, get the popcorn. Some of the topics are going to be kind of heavy, so the kiki might be a little bit more heavy than just laughing and giggling. But yeah, so because we're gonna tackle some topics of the documentaries that I have seen that I really think and I really want to share with the family. So yeah, so like, share, comment, subscribe, and join my Patreon. It's Patreon, Breuck on Patreon, Breuck. Thank you. I love you all so much. You know I do. Bye.